Alrighty. Um, so it's been a while since we have done a live. Well, we haven't ever done a live stream on previews and reviews. So if you're watching, thank you for joining. But it's been a while since we've done anything on the channel, and the reason's been just Eric and I have been too busy. He's been working on films. Of course, he was finishing graduating college, and I was getting married. Now I'm married. He's done with college. He's been working. I've been working. For those that don't know, I'm also a youth pastor. Shout out to my Catalyst youth kiddos. So very exciting stuff. Eric and I actually just shot a short film together called Those Who Shifted. Be expecting a teaser trailer for that sometime soon. Right now I'm working on the animation. So that part's exciting. We're incorporating Unreal Engine with this film about VR and the effects it could have on society. But that's not why you're here. If you're watching today, you're probably here for my review of 65, the new Adam Driver dinosaur movie. And we're going to have a little discussion here because my review is going to be quick. There are enough YouTube channels that go into depth on movie reviews, all that stuff, and I'll just go ahead and give you my quick review of it. I thought it was a moderately entertaining film. I'll give it 3 popcorn buckets. There was times where it felt really slow, despite being a very short feature-length film. There's a lot of times it felt very slow until you get to the very end. Then it feels like all of a sudden it just ends, and you're like, "That's it. That's the story." As far as film reels, I'm also going to give it only 3. Now, don't get me wrong. This film is beautifully crafted. The special effects work is phenomenal. The camera work is incredible. The acting is great. Everything visually and audibly about this movie is fantastic. Though the score is not that memorable, as I tend to hope a film has a memorable score. I want to leave the theater with the theme song or whatever of the film stuck in my mind. And most films don't do that for me unless they're already a part of an established franchise that has had John Williams' touch or Michael Giacchino's touch. So a little bit disappointed there. But again, this film visually is stellar. And there's actually one scene when they're fighting some quadrupedal carnivores that you actually hear the Jurassic Park Velociraptor sound effect. I thought that was a nice little nod. Whether or not, or they're just using it as a stock sound, I guess I don't really know. As far as maturity rating, I would say middle school and up. If you've got a kid that can handle, some intense action, maybe, children and up. I would say between, older children and middle school. Just to be on the safe side, we're going to go with middle school and up here. I took a couple of my youth group kiddos to go see it with me, and they absolutely loved it. There's not all that much cursing in the film, and it's really not a gory film either. It's a fun movie. I was really disappointed with the big reveal at the end where the big bad dinosaur, and this is kind of a spoiler, so skip ahead a little bit if you don't want it to be spoiled for you. But I was kind of disappointed with how the big bad dinosaur at the end isn't the T-Rex. And instead it is this giant quadrupedal tyrannosaurid snake looking thing. That's the best way I can describe this thing. Is it's a T-Rex serpent with legs, and it wasn't any more impressive than a T-Rex. It was just weird looking, and they were trying to sell this film on the precedent that it takes place 65 million years ago on planet Earth. So a alien humanoid race finds its way here and is stranded and has to survive and get off. And first off, if you're going to do that, you might as well go the ancient aliens route and have the person he's stuck there with be a female about his age, that, you know, eventually they decide, you know, hey, we're stuck here, why not, you know, populate the Earth. You could have that kind of a whole Adam and Eve situation. Adam and Eve, ancient aliens, they don't go that route. Instead, you know, they show that humans developed on their own. So there was kind of no real point as far as Earth history goes for Adam Driver's character and this little girl to be on the planet at all. But first off, with it being Earth, supposed to be Earth, most of the dinosaurs, I could not tell you what species they're supposed to be. You've got, I always flub on pronouncing this one. The pterosaurs in the film, though, the Tupsum-dactylus, I think I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Beautiful creature, and they did a good job designing that one. That's a real species. The Oviraptor in the cave is a real species. You could hardly see it, unfortunately. I do think the way they did that fight, though, was really cool. Of course, you got T-Rex, or you're assuming it's supposed to be a T-Rex, and you've got these raptors, these dromaeosaur-looking things, but I mean, you've got this serpent eel thing in the water that you never see more than just a little bit of it. You've got these quadrupedal things that I guess are supposed to replace raptors as a main antagonist, even though the film still has raptors. And then you've got this giant quadrupedal tyrannosaur thing, which I guess has been stalking them throughout the film, maybe. They made the head design too similar to their T-Rexes. And on top of that, even though you have a very realistic T-Rex skull design in the promotion art and even in the film, the T-Rexes in the film don't look like they would fit into those skulls. Or the skulls don't look like they fit those creatures. But with the T-Rex and this, you know, Serpent Rex, I guess we can call it, or Lizard Rex, they made it look too much like the 2005 King Kong V-Rex in the design. And that's a trend that, you know, hey, works great for King Kong. Skull Island is supposed to be, you know, more fantasy, kind of out there. And I love vintage, believe me, I love vintage dinosaur designs. I would love to see a modern day remake of Valley of Gwangi, keeping the original designs, just using today's technology to really make them shine. I think there's still a place for that in paleo media. I don't think a movie should advertise itself, though, as taking place when dinosaurs ruled the earth, and the dinosaurs being almost entirely inaccurate, and even making up dinosaurs. They might as well have been humans that landed on some alien planet that had creatures similar to dinosaurs. And there's actually a great novella that's like that. It's called Spawn. It's not the superhero. It's a short novel, and it's actually really good. It had some neat concepts. There's a couple other books actually like that. Dinosaur Planet and then Dinosaur Planet Survivors by Anne McCree, I think. I don't have the book right in front of me for me to be able to tell you, but so anyways, that's kind of my review of the film. And the main thing I want to talk about today, though, is I'm trying to figure out how to word it here. I guess it's not that hard. The Hollywood trend that I see coming up, and I talked about this with my buddy Eric, of course some of you guys know, a little while back, and we were talking, we think the next big Hollywood trend, because for a time the trend was dinosaurs. There's a lot of dinosaur movies you've probably never heard of that came out back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and then Jurassic Park came and kind of destroyed the competition. Jurassic Park kind of became a monopoly on all things dinosaur media for the longest time. It was that, and then in the animation spectrum, you had The Land Before Time, which has 14 movies and a TV series that takes place between the 13th movie and the 14th movie. The 13th movie is complete garbage, like middle schoolers, or not even middle schoolers, like preschoolers for Land Before Time 13. The 14th film I thought was kind of a nice way to cap the franchise off, and they've released the whole box set, so I think that they're done making those. I just hope and pray that Universal Studios does not have Illumination reboot The Land Before Time. Speaking of which, if you guys are excited for Illumination's The Super Mario Bros. Movie, let me know in the comments. That's going to be premiering for the grand opening of the TP Drive-In in Sapulpa, Oklahoma. My wife is the operations manager. So no, this is not a paid endorsement or anything. But if you guys live in the Tulsa, Sapulpa, kind of Green Country, Creek County area, April 15th, definitely come check out the TP Drive-In. That's going to be a lot of fun. You'll probably see me there some. You might see Eric. I don't know. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But anyways, the trend I'm seeing in Hollywood, because we got reports that Anne Hathaway might be attached to a new dinosaur film coming out within the next year or so. We don't have a title yet, but it's supposed to take place kind of in the 90s. And, this is right off the heels of the release of 65. Now, critically, I know 65 has not been doing that great, but I know that audiences are tired of superhero movies. They just are. As much as I love superhero movies, I've got to agree, I'm burnt out on them. I think the MCU itself needs to take a couple years before they release another movie. They're not going to do that because they think that they're an unstoppable cash cow. But Disney has lost over $200 billion from what I know just last year. They opened 2023 underwater. They've lost money with Marvel. They've lost money with Star Wars. They've lost money with Willow. They've lost money with almost every project they've done. Strange World, Lightyear, Turning Red. All of their projects are tanking. And it's not because there's not good ideas behind the projects. It's because families are entirely done with Disney's agenda. When I watch a modern Disney movie, I get the same vibes that I get when I watch an early cheesy Christian movie that came up with the message first, and then the story was kind of a thing that they just used to package the message. That's how Disney films feel these days. They don't feel like they're about the craft. They don't feel like they're about the story or the characters. They feel like they are about the message and the agenda, the propaganda that they're pushing. Now, if you want to see, just how well Christian, faith-based movies have evolved, please go check out Jesus Revolution. It's been doing fantastic at the box office, and it's such a phenomenal film. I want to do a review of it here on the channel real soon, maybe for Easter. Fantastic movie, though. Fantastic film. But the trend I'm seeing, and that me and Eric have been kind of seeing, is with the rise in popularity of dinosaur media due to Jurassic World bringing the Jurassic Park franchise back to theaters. And now with 65, we see that other companies are noticing the want and the need that audiences have for dinosaur content. I mean, you look up, best dinosaur movies, and what comes up? In fact, here, let me look it up for you. Best dinosaur movies. Okay, so I'm going to show this to you guys real quick here. Okay, best dinosaur movies, top picks. Of course, Jurassic, all the Jurassic films. The Good Dinosaur, which I actually thought was awful. It was beautiful, the scenery and everything, but I hated the character design. I thought the story was just a cheap ripoff of Disney's Dinosaur, which was actually just a cheap ripoff of The Land Before Time. You've got We're Back, A Dinosaur Story, which is highly underrated. Most kids these days have no idea what it is, and that is a shame. It is such a good movie. Parents, show We're Back, A Dinosaur Story to your kiddos. But you've got the Walking with Dinosaurs movie that came out in 2013. I thought, which, to be honest, I didn't watch it all the way through. We rented it on pay-per-view at my parents' place, and it had the most preschool narration to it. I couldn't sit through and watch it. Beautiful effects. Of course, you got The Land Before Time, Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Land of the Lost, which was just a remake, I thought, butchered remake of the TV series. They didn't even use the same characters. Not really. And of course, you got King Kong, and then special points to you if you know Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend. I want to review it here on the channel at some point. It's essentially about the Mokele Mbembe in the Congos of Africa, a cryptid, essentially Africa's Bigfoot, but it being a dinosaur. But then if you look down the list, you see a bunch of really kiddie stuff, for the most part, and B movies, and some really old ones like Planet of Dinosaurs and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Which, don't get me wrong, nothing bad about that, but when one of the top popular dinosaur movies is Velocipaster, something's wrong in dinosaur media. If you guys have seen this Dinosaur Island from 1994, it was made by DIC. They did the cartoons for Inspector Gadget. This is actually a really fun film. You should check that out, Dinosaur Island, which is different than this Dinosaur Island, which is actually really cute. But my point here is dinosaur lovers, and you've got a whole generation. Okay, you've got the 90s kids that grew up on Jurassic Park. You've got me, who's kind of a secondhand 90s kid. I was born in 1997, and of course, watched Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3, and was hooked to all things dinosaur. And of course, I was the perfect age range for Walking with Dinosaurs, the original documentary, not the crappy 2013 thing that they use the stock image of the Gorgosaurus for everything nowadays. It's almost as bad as the Papo V-Rex. appearing everywhere. Um, so you've got the generation, the '90s generation, like me, and then you've got the kids in between, and you've got the kids growing up now. So you've got the kids that are kids now, the kids that are teenagers now, and then the young adults like myself, and then a few people from the generation above us. We've been starved for good dinosaur media that's not from the Jurassic franchise. As much as I loved Jurassic World Dominion, despite the critical flop it's been, I was very disappointed in the Giganotosaurus design. It's a cool looking design, but it does not really resemble Giganotosaurus. They made it look too crocodilian for me, and they went with the premise of biosins making genetically pure dinosaurs. I'm sorry, but that thing looks like a hybrid, to be completely honest. And the reason they did that, though, is because Universal has this thing on the creatives for the Jurassic franchise where they want the dinosaurs to look cool, and they don't think, accurate looks cool. I mean, I'll admit the T-Rex from Prehistoric Planet looks kind of cute. But that's the thing. I mean, you can have cool and believable. I mean, look at the Jurassic Park T-Rex. I think it's cool, and I think it's believable. Like, that will forever be what T-Rex looks like to me. Unless, they actually bring one back from extinction. But my point, and I think the 65 movie proves it quite well. Audiences want dinosaur movies. Right now, they're kind of burnt out on the Jurassic franchise, and I think Universal would be really wise to wait several years before they do another Jurassic film. Preferably, they should wait for me to direct it. You guys who know me, I'm a director and a writer, and I've actually got a film that could or could not take place in the Jurassic Park universe post Fallen Kingdom. So I'm writing that one now. We'll see if I actually end up getting to make it. Currently it's a short film. We'll see if it develops into more of a feature. Be a much smaller scale story about Troodon, kind of invading a suburban home. So take the Jurassic Park the game styled Troodons and Home Alone and mash them together. That's essentially what you've got for me. So I mean, at least that's one idea that I have. But back on topic here. Audiences are ready for more dinosaurs, and I think they want them to be as scientifically accurate as possible. That was one of the appeals of Jurassic Park when it first came out. That was one of the appeals of the original Walking with Dinosaurs documentary series. People want to see dinosaurs. They don't want to see movie monsters. You've got some that do, but most paleo fans want to see as scientifically accurate dinosaurs as possible. And if you're going to go the route of making the dinosaurs look not at all realistic, you need to put it on another planet, or specifically make it like a 90s or 80s themed movie. That way it makes a little more sense. But Hollywood needs more dinosaurs. I would love to see a franchise compete with Jurassic Park, personally. And I think that could happen. And honestly, Hollywood, don't feel restricted by what, secular science tells you about, well, you can't do this with dinosaurs, you can't do this with dinosaurs, as far as, when dinosaurs could show up. realistically, you could do a movie, with a family camping or whatever, and dinosaurs just up and show up. I mean, you do it all the time with, other creatures. I mean, aliens with, look at the Disney remake for Pete's Dragon. It's just some dragon out in the woods. Like, no explanation there. Why not do something similar? And I actually did with my short film, Shadow of the Behemoth. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on the Revolve Studios channel. I will, at the end of the live stream, I'll add it to the description of this video. So please check it out. And while you're at it, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It does us a huge favor. But yeah, so dinosaur movies. We need more of them. And there's actually a book trilogy. I haven't got to read it yet. It's on my read list for this year, but I've got it. It's on my bookshelf. Top shelf of my bookshelf. And it's about Noah living in that time period before the flood. And whether you're a Christian or not, I think that this is a very entertaining premise for a movie trilogy, where you've got Noah dealing with the politics of the time, and you make the world around him accurate to what creation scientists believe it could have looked like. That's essentially what this book trilogy is. So you've got, Ice Age animals, and you've got dinosaurs, and you've got a variety of modern day animals. And you've also got political intrigue. You've got, a race to beat the apocalypse. Very entertaining. And you could do it as a trilogy, as this book series proves. And I think it would do phenomenally well. I mean, you don't even have to include Noah in the title. I know it's like each one is Noah, man of destiny, Noah, man of God. You could literally just take the subtitles and make them the main title, Man of Destiny. Why is it called Man of Destiny? Why are there dinosaurs? Why is there a big Colosseum? You've got all of these questions that the trailer could spurn up. People go watch the movie, and then it makes way more sense. Way more sense than 65 made. Which, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed 65. I'll probably have it on Blu-ray at some point. But anyways, Hollywood, you've not been afraid to make big-budget biblical stories before. The Noah movie with Russell Crowe was a complete flop. It was awful. So was Exodus, Gods and Kings. Awful movies, but great special effects. I was actually reading the Parting of the Red Sea out of the Bible to my youth group kiddos, and the way I can see why almost every biblical movie Hollywood's ever done to any faithful capacity has been the story of Moses, because the Bible describes it so cinematically. You could do something similar with Noah. And if you're afraid of getting hate from Christians or from the Jewish people, or even, the Islamic people for inaccuracy, put a disclaimer at the beginning of the film or the end of the film that says, hey, this is a creative take. There's a lot of holes, that we're trying to fill here in the story. The Bible just gives us the bare bones. We're trying to tell the story in an entertaining way. I mean, if you look at Sight and Sound Theaters, they do the exact same thing for all of their productions. So, anyways, dinosaur movies, I think, are going to be the new Marvel, the new MCU, the new superhero craze. For a long time it was westerns and spy movies, and of course, now you've got the Marvel movies, just superhero movies in general. I had people, when the MCU started, I had people asking me, when do you think Superman and Batman are going to join the Avengers? I just made a ton of you cringe, I know. But people are done trying to keep up with, these big cinematic universes. Star Wars is too big to sit down and watch all of it, unless you're a super fan and that's all you want to watch. Jurassic Park is getting that way. You've got 6 feature-length movies, 1 short film, 2 if you're going to watch the prologue instead of just watching the extended cut for Jurassic World Dominion, which is what you should do. So you've got 1 real short film, and you've got a 5-season animated TV series that's canon, or at least loosely canon. You've got, a few books now. You've got like The Evolution of Claire and a couple other books about Maisie that Tessa Sharp did. That kind of expand on the universe a little bit. And of course, you've got Jurassic Park the game, which is confirmed soft canon. So and of course you've got Marvel. It's too big to sit down and watch over the course of 2 days. If you started 12 a.m. one day watching it, you would not finish it by 12 a.m. 3 days later. It's just massive. And you have no hope of ever seeing the conclusion. And I think that's where audiences have dropped off. A lot of audiences, I guess, assumed that Avengers Endgame was the last movie. And for many of us, it is. I enjoyed, Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man No Way Home as much as anybody. And I would love to continue to watch the story of Spider-Man. But She-Hulk was awful. I don't care about She-Hulk. They turned Wanda into a complete villain. And the way they did it was not very good. The comics did it a lot better. You've just got, and of course, Doctor Strange now is reading out of demonic books to gain power, which is exactly what Dark Strange did in the What If series, which, by the way, when's season 2 for that coming out? I have no idea. But these expanded universes, these cinematic universes, are so big and have no hope of ever ending that fans no longer have any hope of seeing a satisfying conclusion to the story. I want to see Jurassic Park's full story concluded. Dominion kind of does that. If I were to direct a Jurassic Park film, it would be like a post-Dominion kind of an end-all be-all film. It would be. It would prevent any possibility of a sequel. Now, if you wanted to do some films that take place before that, you could. But fans and audiences will have had, the final chapter before they pass away, for crying out loud. I know that the MCU will probably outlive me. Well, it might not at this rate, as its clock is ticking. But independent dinosaur movies would do really well right now, financially, at the box office. And they don't need to feel like event movies. People like a movie that I see people excited for is M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. A lot of people are really excited about every Jordan Peele. There we go. Every Jordan Peele movie that comes out, they're excited for it, and that's because these films are standalone. A lot of times they feel much smaller in scale, and they tell a grand story. It reminds me of the days of Jaws and E.T. You didn't have to have a world-ending event to make your movie an event movie, to make your movie a blockbuster. Blockbusters did not start out as these big end-game events. Hollywood needs to slow down. They need to look at good stories and go from there. Season 1 of Stranger Things did that really well. And while I really enjoyed Season 4, that I finally got around to watching, took me forever because I was hesitant, because I did not like Season 3. It was too gory for me. Season 1 was better, or Season 4 was better in some regards. But it also starts to go kind of the whole world-ending event scenario. Which, if you're going to do that for a TV series, that's one thing. Movies are not meant to be TV series. And I think that's what Hollywood is trying to compete with. Versus television. Make good movies and make them standalone. If they do really well, sure, consider doing a sequel. I mean, Hollywood has the most powerful tool for gauging audience reaction in the world. Internet, social media. Hollywood, take a look. See what people are saying. People say that they want to see more dinosaur movies and they want to see them more paleontologically accurate. Do that. You need a writer? Hire me. Hire a lot of us paleo nerds. Or at least hire us as consultants for your dinosaurs. That's the thing. You don't have to pay, bukus of money to, Jack Horner to consult on your dinosaur movie. You don't have to do that. You could pay bukus of money to someone who really needs it, who has very similar knowledge, just because of how vast the internet and how vast our literature is. You have some people in the paleo community that have never set foot on a dig site that know more than most dig site volunteers. So, anyways, that was a long way of saying that I'm tired of woke Disney and I'm tired of cinematic universes, and I just want some standalone movies. I don't want, and let me bring it back up here. Okay. Let me bring it back up on the screen. I don't want the top picks, the most recommended dinosaur movies from Google to be 100 million BC or Velocipaster or goodness, whatever this is, or another Journey to the Center of the Earth remake. We've had so many of them. I mean, goodness, there's just, and I'm seeing a lot of repeats here. This Dinotopia movie is actually pretty good. The Hallmark one was, man, it had some good things going for it, but, or another Lost World remake. We need good dinosaur movies. We need a good selection of them, and I'll be honest, yeah, there's a lot of family dinosaur movies. We need some that are a little more mature, that aren't, these awful B movies that we see just rampant. I mean, every year another, B-rated dinosaur movie hits Walmart shelves. So, anyways, that's all, folks. If you enjoyed the live stream, I know I haven't really, because I can see how many viewers I've got. I know I haven't really had any viewers today, but if you're viewing this afterwards, definitely check out my short film, A Shadow of the Behemoth. It was our first time really putting a fully animated creature into a short film, and it gives us hope for what we can do in the near future. Anyways, I'm Hayden Smalley. I've been your host. Join me next time, and I'll hopefully talk with you in the comments below. Sayonara.